Let's go to John. He's in Myrtle Beach listening to WRNN. Hello, John. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, yeah, I'm not here to argue with you. I'm looking for a solution.
All right. I like
Last
solutions.
time
Let's
you
do
called
it.
to argue. Okay. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Every year, the Memorial Day weekend, we have a problem with bikers, pedestrians, and car riders coming down for that weekend to party. It's about equal to what Atlanta used to have, the street meet. And we had 4 murders here past Memorial Day weekend.
Yikes.
The solution for Horry County is to make them go through a 40-mile loop, which should go down the boulevard. Myrtle Beach is kind of like Atlantic Beach, New Jersey, or whatever. And they go around on the interstate, come back around. It's a 40-mile loop. Now, it's going to cost us $1 million extra for police personnel, and they're closing off highways, which to me is like kicking ant bed. It's not going to work. So I'm asking y'all to, which I agree with majority of the time, even though we have our disagreements. I love power through force, even though I'm libertarian thinking, that there has to be some kind of situation which you have a slight one-half fear, one-half respect for law. But what would be your solution? We have Memorial Day weekend. It used to be dedicated to the military, and now it's turned to Freaknik.
So just to be clear, I just want to understand what you've said. The 40-mile thing I didn't really understand. You're saying that there's a bunch of partiers, many bikers, are coming into the Myrtle Beach area on Memorial Day weekend and raising havoc and partying and causing problems, violence, destruction perhaps of property. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're asking
I'm saying it, and this is a huge issue in the state of South Carolina.
You're asking what to do about that in the absence of having a government police force, or are you just asking in general?
Or just steps that can be taken from like immediately?
No, I'm asking what y'all two think, because I respect what you think. I really do, even though I disagree with you here lately, because I see the way this country's going. But
yeah, I would say that
kind of a situation where this Memorial Day weekend is going to be pretty much martial law. They're bringing in towers. They're bringing in.
Yeah, I don't support martial law. That's scary stuff. And I think that we need to get away from the militaristic police state. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with people hiring private security. If there's something going on and you feel like your storefront needs to be protected, then you should team up, especially if you're in like a strip mall or something like that. There are other businesses nearby. Team up with your businesses next door and raise some money to hire some private guards to be out there, or just do it yourself. Like the Korean guys did during the Rodney King with the machine guns, outside their stores. So
I actually love your answer. That's actually what they're telling them to do. The government here in the state of South Carolina.
Of course they're telling them that. The reason why is because the government's saying we can't be held responsible for not protecting your business. So look, business owners, even though you're forced to pay for our so-called protection services, we're admitting to you that we're not going to be there when you call us, because on a busy time like that, especially with a lot of people in town, it's going to be hard to get through on 911, and so you've got to take care of yourselves. That's what they're admitting to. Like, they can't handle this, and they need people to handle it themselves.
Yeah, well, it's a real big issue, and you will find it coming to the forefront of national media come next Memorial Day. I guarantee it. They will make media news.
John, I appreciate you bringing that to the table tonight, and I thank you for the call. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. But, yeah, I think that we've seen, as we've discussed many times on Free Talk Live over many years, the continual militarization of the police, and I think that actually causes problems. If you actually had police on the ground or private security or whoever, even again, I'm fine with government police so long as they're not actually enforcing laws with no victim. So if you had the police on the ground during these parties, we've got Pumpkin Fest here in Keene, New Hampshire. It's kind of similar. There's a big party that goes on. There's thousands of people, tens of thousands of people that actually come into this little city. The Keene, New Hampshire barely qualifies as a city. It's 25,000 people living here.
Right, and I wouldn't say that that's a huge party by Myrtle Beach's standards.
By Keene standards,
but
though.
By Keene standards, it's probably pretty similar.
Pumpkin Fest is huge. There are literally something like 60 to 70,000 people in the city for Pumpkin Fest, and that includes a lot of young people.
The population triples.
Yeah, there's a lot of young people, and there's a lot of, it's a college town, so college students from all across New Hampshire come to Keene, and they all party, and there's sometimes some violence. If you get enough people with enough alcohol in them, somebody's going to fight at some point. There's going to be something that happens, or someone will hurt themselves. So obviously the police are busy dealing with, and they should be busy dealing with stopping fights. That I support. Stopping and investigating people who've harmed others. That's cool. I'm okay with that. But if the police are walking around harassing people for open container violations, and the police are harassing people for openly smoking cannabis and doing things that don't actually have a victim, that creates a division between the police and average people. Because average people, most of them, want to get high, or they want to imbibe alcohol, or they want to somehow alter their state of consciousness. And when the police are arresting their friends and or them or you for doing those things, that creates animosity between people and the police. It makes it more likely that people will act out when they see the police, especially if they're drunk and angry about the police and what the police had done perhaps to one of their friends earlier in the day. So if we actually had a peace squad, officers who were actually dedicated to restoring peace rather than enforcing stupid laws, then maybe they would actually be respected more so by the people that are actually in the streets. And secondly, if you remove the militarization from the police as well, that will also help. So instead of the police rolling down the street in the Bearcat pointing guns at people, you would have more of a friendly officer who's not wearing all black sunglasses trying to disconnect him from all the people around him. You'd have friendly officers who could make eye contact with people directly, walking around and enjoying the day and talking with folks. That, I think, would be much better, and I think you'd see people behaving better in general. Your thoughts are welcome, though. Share them here at 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free number. It's brought to you by ProXPN, 855-450-3733. Am I onto something there, or is the answer to just crack down, like is what they're doing? Bring more cops in, have more weapons, more towers, more trucks. We'll talk first to David, listening in Columbia, South Carolina, to WQXL. Hello, David.
How you doing? How you doing today?
Welcome. You're on the air.
Great. Okay, I wanted to add some more details regarding the bike week situation. I don't think I missed it, but this bike week is commonly referred to as a Black Bike Week, and it seems as if our governor wants to ban it. However, it is my understanding that the local government, the local municipalities, do not want to ban it because of the revenue that it generates.
Sure, it's good for business.
Yeah, I would think that
Yes.
one thing that about this is I was going to say is essentially, these bars are offloading their responsibility as far as security goes to the municipality. If you liquor somebody up and then run them off into the streets, at the end of the evening or whatever, like they're to some extent, you'd have made all the revenue from them, but you're not responsible in any way for whatever it is that they might do in that condition.
Yeah, that too. And my concern is that in any large gathering where there's alcohol and so forth and so on involved, there are issues. But it seems as if our governor and some of our fellow citizens are less tolerant when it comes from the African American community.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all, David. Thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Bruce.
Black Bike Week. Haven't heard of it.
Kevin, listening in Myrtle Beach to WRNN. Hello, Kevin.
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight?
Good. You're on the air. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I wanted to talk about the bike week thing. It was not like beating a dead horse.
No, go for it.
No, we haven't beat this horse nearly this dead horse nearly that much. Go ahead.
All right. Well, the thing that the last guy failed to mention, he brought up the race aspect of it. I guess that is there.
Is it called Black Bike Week?
It is called Black Bike Week.
Already?
The first one that precedes it by a couple of weeks is just called Bike Week. But Black Bike Week takes place in around 4 blocks going right through our main highway that goes through town.
Okay.
So it clogs up pretty much everything, and it makes it harder for everybody like me that works in the city.
Sure,
that's pretty much true with any event, though. I mean, I've got to say that we have Pumpkin Fest here in Keene.
You can't travel on Pumpkin Fest.
And I wish these, all these stinking tourists that are here spending money at all these businesses where I don't make a penny off of it would go away. But obviously, people want them there.
Yeah, I mean. I can't say that there's not people that don't want him here, but I guess you could say the mumbles and grumbles that go on whenever Black Bike Week finally comes through. at least, from what I hear, is worse than the one that Bike Week comes up with. And I think it's just because it lasts a few days longer, it seems like, with the people that straggle and stay in town, and it just cuts off the main flow going into the city. And then you have what the first guy said, it pretty much becomes a police state, which, by the way, you were talking about the police that actually just went through a roadblock.
Do you feel free?
I feel safe.
It's the freest country on earth, son.
They're going to free the hell out of me. But it turns into a police state, and I mean, you can't go through any section of town without getting at least looked at by the cops, if not worse. And it's not a big town, but that's a pretty big deal to be happening, in Myrtle Beach. It's a real small area.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't think that they should do away with it, but I do know that during Black Bike Week, and you could chalk it up to race or whatever, but the police presence is a lot stronger and the crime goes up. But, there's a number of things that could factor into that.
You know what? It's interesting. We saw, I forget which school it was. I think it was in Boston, but there was a charter school that had a lot of real security apparatus, like, metal detectors, armed guards, that kind of thing at the school, like a prison. They had those sorts of accoutrements, and the school got taken over by a new administrator, a new principal, and the first thing he did was get rid of the security staff and get rid of the checkpoints, and actually, totally wiped out all the security in the entire school. And some people would say, well, that's crazy because kids are going to start stabbing each other, and well, that's, the security was there for a reason. Well, turns out you take away the security apparatus, people start behaving better. The students were not hurting each other as often. There wasn't as much violence as soon as they got the armed guards out of there. So I think that having the extra police presence could actually be stirring up issues.
Well, it's police state USA, and I happen to be young enough to have grown up in it, but old enough to be out of it. But, when I went to high school, it was mandatory that everybody carry IDs. And a lot of people like me and the other metalheads decided no, we're not bringing them.
Nice.
And
civil disobedience.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Most of the time, I probably just forgot it, but.
It felt like you were sticking to the man.
So what happened when you didn't bring them? What were the consequences?
If you didn't bring it, you would get an ISS, which stands for in-school suspension, and you would go to a classroom with all the other troublemakers for the day. And if you're me, you would sit there and listen to music and read Stephen King till the end of the day. It probably happened to me about 6 times, and there's really, unless you got a behavioral problem, they're not going to expel you or suspend you outside of school. And really all that it does is, if you think that the school is actually educating you, all it actually does is take away your education for the day.
Right.
Which
And
seems kind of
that's the most baffling thing about in-school suspension to me is exactly what are you trying to teach this kid? The only times I guess I ever had to worry about something like in-school suspension, I could have left at any point. So I don't know. I mean, it's just very confusing. But I think they've raised the age now to 18. At the time, it was 16. But any kid
in New Hampshire, we've done that.
It's probably across the nation in different places. It's probably not just New Hampshire. Do you know what I mean?
It was New Hampshire that raised it from 16 to 18. You're talking about the
Do you think that New Hampshire is the only state in America that has raised the age from 16 to 18? Or do you think that somehow our legislators just got this idea?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that your mileage may vary. It may still be 16 where you are.
Just to be clear,
I don't
your
know.
mileage may vary, but every student out there can talk to their parents about being homeschooled, so everybody can leave if they want.
Kevin, any other thoughts? Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. As far as the whole, you can leave if you want. I know I was 18 and didn't have enough credits to get early dismissal, as they call it here, and I ended up having to just pick up one class at the end of the day. And I asked if I could leave at the, after my, this class doesn't matter. What do I need it for? And I was told no.
Well, whenever you ask a bureaucrat permission, you're going to be told no.
The answer is no.
Especially if you're in a government school. Thanks, Kevin, for the call tonight. I appreciate it, man. Toll-free numbers 855-450-FREE. Better to ask forgiveness than permission. And a lot of people, when they're a teenager, even because you've turned 18 doesn't mean you've been educated as to your rights and what it means that you've turned 18, what sort of legal changes happen. So, many people are still in the dark about that. So therefore, they would believe what they're told by the bureaucrats because they seem authoritative. Fred, though, is first, listening in Myrtle Beach to WRNN. Hey, Fred.
Hey, what's going on?
We're doing a radio show. Go ahead with your thoughts.
You guys are the only people that talk about hemp on a positive sense. And
hemp is a positive thing? Okay.
You mean the only people on the radio who talk about hemp positively?
Yeah, most of Americans will talk positively about hemp.
I know. And as far as the bike week, I live in Surfside. I'm about 5 miles from Myrtle Beach. But the people that start trouble, it's like the same thing in Ferguson. There are people that don't live there.
Yeah, that's certainly true.
Trouble.
That's certainly true with like college kids here in Keene, New Hampshire. They're more likely to be starting issues and destroying property because, as you say, they don't live here. They're not going to be, after the next 3 years are up, they're going to go out of college and they're going to go probably back to New York or wherever. But
on the positive, our taxes are cheaper because they have a lot of bike weeks here. They have Holy Week and this and that week. And that our tax, if we would be paying much more property tax, if they didn't have them. So,
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.